Welcome, everyone. I'm Karen Ring, Senior Director of Research at Magnite. I'm so glad you joined us today for a presentation of the highlights from our recent travel research study, which focuses on personal and vacation travel. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the webinar. No advertising category was hit harder by the COVID-19 pandemic than the travel industry. Fortunately, increased vaccine availability, eased lockdown restrictions, and warmer weather are all driving a burst in demand by Americans to get out and go somewhere. And all this excitement for travel is driving interest in travel advertising. In-market consumers are highly receptive to all travel information sources, including advertising. According to research firm Destination Analysts, recall of travel ads are at an all-time high at 46%, 7 points higher than February and 24 points higher than last June. To capture the attention of eager travelers, advertisers have to act quickly. People are in various stages of their travel planning, and television is an ideal medium for messaging at every level of the consumer journey. But with a third of Americans unreachable via traditional television, we wanted to understand the role that video and especially CTV play in the consumer journey. But let's get everyone in the travel mode with our first poll question. Do you plan to take or have you already taken a personal trip or vacation of 5 days or longer this year? Okay, we'll leave it go for a few more seconds. Okay. All right, well, it looks like 85% of you are planning some kind of travel this year or maybe have already traveled, so good for you. It's been a long time since people have been able to travel, and now they are raring to go. People are ready to move on from the pandemic, literally. We asked respondents to quantify just how excited they are to travel, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 76% put their excitement level between 8 and 10. All that pent-up desire means that people are making up for lost time. 65% plan to travel even more than before the pandemic began, and that number jumps to 72% among parents with kids in the household. So where is the industry now? It has been said that 2021 will feel like the roaring 20s of 100 years ago. Americans have amassed a massive stockpile of excess savings. Bloomberg Economics estimates it to be about 1.7 trillion since the beginning of the pandemic through January. As the economy reopens, consumer spending over the next 2 quarters is likely to be the strongest such period in at least 70 years, according to Wells Fargo. People have already bought cars, remodeled their house, and now they're ready to spend big on travel. This kind of go big or go home spending is known as revenge travel, and you'll see evidence of that in our findings. New data from Ipsos bears this out. Summer travel spend is projected to exceed 150 billion, 50% increase over 2019, and 160% increase over 2020. Not only are consumers spending more, but so are travel advertisers. Magna predicts that digital ad spend in travel will grow 20% to 700 billion in 2021. And US airports are busier as well. TSA checkpoint passenger screenings for the weekend of June 19th, 20th were up 230% versus the same weekend a year ago. So with the demand for travel rebounding, we wanted to understand what this means for advertisers. As news of the vaccine rollout became more widespread, we suspected that travel planning would skyrocket. We wanted to get out in front of that by trying to understand how that demand would manifest. What would it look like? And where were people going to turn for inspiration and information on destinations? Since video is an important part of our business, we also wanted to know what role video, and specifically CTV, would play in the decision-making process. Magnite engaged Lucid for an online survey of 903 travel decision makers who intend to travel within the next 12 months and subscribe to or share at least one AVOD, that's advertising supported streaming service like Pluto TV, Sling TV, or Hulu. The survey was conducted from March 12th to March 17th, 2021. We also did a recontact survey roughly 5 weeks later to track the change in responses for some questions and to delve a little deeper into the impact of CTV. Please note that throughout this presentation, I'll be using the term CTV and streaming TV interchangeably. Okay, before we dive into the results, let's bring up our second poll question. Does the availability of the vaccine make you more optimistic about traveling this year? Okay, we're getting the responses in. Leave it open for a few more seconds. All right. Well, clearly, 88% of you are confident about traveling this year because of the vaccine. Now let's see what our study revealed. The efficient and widespread rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine was a game changer for travel. 84%, almost the same that we got in our poll, said that they felt more optimistic about traveling safely. The vaccine rollout has eased concerns about the pandemic itself to the point where 75% feel comfortable traveling this year. But safety is still very top of mind, and 73% would like brands to address safety measures in their advertising. Travel planning is in full swing and has been for a while. In wave 1, 60% were traveling over the summer, and just 5 weeks later, our wave 2 sample jumped 10 points. But what is even more encouraging for the travel industry is the number of people planning fall and holiday travel. For both of those seasons, we see an increase from wave 1 to wave 2 in those who are currently making plans. Based on related research we've done, it is not uncommon for about half of decision makers to begin to plan their trips 5 to 6 months in advance. So despite our 90-degree weather, there are still quite a few who have started planning their winter wonderland vacations. After a year of lockdown, we wanted to understand what people really wanted to do once they could travel. What was the most important experience they wanted? After all, 84% would take a vacation over expensive jewelry, so it better be worth it. For a third of respondents, the most important experience is connecting with family and friends. Another 30% just want total relaxation, and the rest want some kind of activity, either adventurous, romantic, or cultural. So it was interesting to see that these buckets kind of divided pretty evenly into thirds. As we just saw, US travelers are really looking for ways to connect after isolating for so long, but they are also looking for fun. Beaches, camping, theme parks are popular places for families to connect. A third of travelers plan to go to the national parks this year, but they better have reservations. According to the National Park Service, park attendance has been at an all-time high month after month. Yellowstone has seen the most visitors ever recorded, and the Grand Tetons are up 30% from May of 2019, a park record for that park. Most are planning at least one road trip this year of an average of 350 miles. But as more states relax COVID restrictions and vaccinations increase, 77% plan to sit back, relax, and fly to their destination. It is also worth noting that the data suggests high optimism around cruises. Nearly 40% plan to take a cruise sometime in the next year. Major cruise lines are preparing to restart operations from the US this week, with the first sailing out of Fort Lauderdale. But for those planning to take a cruise, be forewarned, no more help yourself buffets. The buffet stations will be served by crew members. Let's face it, most of us have been home for 15 months and have had quite enough of cooking and cleaning. For 86% of respondents, this year's revenge travel is about staying in a hotel or resort and escaping from home. 36% plan to stay at a private home of someone they know, and 21% plan to stay at the home of someone they don't know through a home sharing service. So how can marketers grab the attention of eager travelers? The good news is that people actually want to see ads. Data from destination analysts found that 54% felt happy or very happy after seeing a recent travel ad. I thought that was really interesting. As we saw earlier, people know what types of trips they want to take and are currently making their travel plans. They may not have their total itinerary planned or still may be looking for inspiration. As specialists in the video space, we were curious about the role that video, and especially CTV, play in the consumer journey. I can tell you from personal experience, prior to my recent trip to Aruba, I sat with my friends and watched an hour of various videos on Aruba and the things to do there. And by the end, we were all on our phones booking a UTV tour together. And clearly, I'm not unique. Digital video, within both content and advertising, plays an important role in travel planning, everything from discovery to the itinerary to budgeting. 75% said digital video ads are helpful when it comes to planning a trip. 74% learn about travel opportunities that probably they wouldn't have known about otherwise. 65% almost always watch a digital video before booking a trip to that destination. And 63% are comfortable entering their contact information into ads in order to receive discounts and special offers. But not all video is created equal. When compared to UGC, premium content provides a visual context for travel advertising to shine and is more trusted by a margin of 3 to 1. Excuse me. So where does CTV fit in? CTV is a big part of the travel decision maker's television diet. 60% of their average weekly TV time is spent watching, streaming content. So advertisers are more likely to find travel decision makers on CTV rather than linear TV. CTV content is preferred by key travel targets: decision makers, parents with kids in the household, and high-income households. There is a hierarchy when we look at how advertising works. It starts with preference, which then leads to ad receptivity. So we just saw that CTV is preferred. There is already a high level of interest in advertising among in-market travelers, as we saw earlier from data from destination analysts. And CTV amplifies that by offering viewers a better ad experience through lighter ad loads and relevant messaging. 69% are open to watching ads on streaming TV because they appreciate access to high-quality television programming. 68% have discovered new products as a result of seeing an ad in a streaming show, and 66% like the uncluttered and less intrusive CTV advertising environment. Now let's go a step further. Preference leads to receptivity. Receptivity leads to engagement with travel ads. These series of questions focus specifically on engaging with travel ads. 59% are more likely to consider a travel brand or product advertised on streaming TV versus linear TV. 56% rely on CTV advertising as an important source of inspiration, information, and ideas for travel. 60% are more receptive to travel advertising on CTV versus 40% for linear. As these results show, CTV provides a big opportunity for brands to engage with their key targets. This engagement ultimately drives impact for marketers. Viewers are responding to CTV ads and generating impressive KPIs. Our study showed that nearly 2/3 of decision makers went to the advertiser's site for more information. 56% watched videos about the destination, 51% conducted more research, and 47% discussed with a friend. In fact, 74% of respondents took 2 or more actions as a result of seeing ads on CTV. Okay, so this brings us to our last poll question. Are you planning to spend more on travel this year than pre-pandemic? Okay, I'll leave it open for a few more seconds as everybody votes. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay. Okay, it looks like most everybody has voted. So it looks like 65% of you are planning on spending more on travel this year, pre-pandemic. So keep those results in mind. Okay, remember revenge travel? 62% said they are planning to splurge more on travel this year, almost the same number as we got in our own poll just now. And when asked about spend levels post versus pre-pandemic, we see clear evidence of revenge travel spending. 46% will spend more on airfares, 60% will spend more on hotels, and 74% of decision makers will up their culinary game and spend more on dining. And those numbers are even bigger among high engagement audiences. People who are highly engaged with CTV ads are more likely to spend more on travel across the board. So how can today's travel advertisers put these findings to work for them? Consumers are responding quickly to the ongoing easing of pandemic restrictions. Tourism has rebounded in reaching 2019 levels, and in some cases exceeding those levels. As vaccination levels roll out by region and location, so will the demand increase for those destinations. For advertisers looking to get on air quickly, AVOD provides the speed, agility, and precision that they need to reach all of their target consumers at a moment's notice. As we saw, digital video is an important part of travel discovery and informs all phases of travel planning. It is heavily relied on for inspiration as well as for learning about promotions and special offers. Marketers should adopt an omni-channel approach to reach travelers at all stages of the decision funnel, from planning to budgeting to booking, to reach targets across any screen. And finally, as we just saw, CTV is preferred over linear, which leads to higher levels of engagement, ultimately driving consumer action. And CTV resonates with high-value targets, such as those who plan to spend more on travel. Advertisers need to make ad-supported video on demand, AVOD, a vital part of their 2021 media strategy to take advantage of this opportunity. So that's the presentation. We have a few minutes left. Can I answer any questions? So one question I just got was about how we define travel decision makers. And we asked a question in our survey about how much the respondents had influence over the travel decision planning. And then we designated those who said that they were the primary decision maker. Those were our that's our definition of primary travel decision maker. So I just got a question. Why do we think that CTV consumers are more engaged and receptive than linear viewers? We've done a lot of research in this area. We've been studying this for years. And what we find is that the environment is just provides a more consumer-friendly environment. So CTV offers a couple of things that right now linear doesn't. The lighter ad load. So we know that within a CTV environment, there is anywhere from, say, 4 to 8 minutes per hour of commercials, whereas in linear, it's double that. So there's a lot more clutter on linear. It's harder for an advertiser's message to break through. And then also because of the addressability capabilities, it's easier to target consumers who are in market or who are already open to messaging. So again, we talk about CTV being sort of the best of linear's lean back experience coupled with the digital buying capabilities. So it brings together the best of both worlds. All right, well, it looks like not getting any other questions. So we'll end a little early. Thank you again for attending our webinar. You will receive a copy of the recording within the next few days. Thanks again and best wishes for a great vacation.